Good morning and welcome to my David Wilson Out and About YouTube channel. I'm back out on the paddle with a difference this morning. I'm actually out testing my new E-fin, my Hiqmar E-fin. You may have seen the start footage. That's where I was trying to work out where to place it and obviously attaching it to the kayak. So it's all on. I'll give it a very quick run as I got in the water, and all's good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to paddle out to a bit of wide open river and then start a few speed tests. I'm really looking forward to this and I'm actually quite excited. I'm like a little kid. So yeah, so I'll paddle down a little bit further, then I'll bring you back. Oh, please excuse noise in the background. There's actually a building site to my right, but this is the best stretch to test it on. It's very wide. There's no generally no sort of motor launches. We will be going under the bridge in the main street, but all I want to do is get some speed tests. I've just taken a wind reading, and well, I know there is none, so it's basically like a mill pond at the moment, so what we get is what we get. So yeah, let's go. What I've done, I've switched the boat into drive or D on the remote. So there's only two settings forward, so there's D and there's S. S stands for sport. So all I'm doing, I'm just going to leave this for about a minute or so till I get to the bridge, switch it off, paddle under the bridge, and then start again the other side. Obviously I have to correct slightly with my paddle as I go, and I can't keep up with it. Already I can't keep up with it. That's it, I'm just straightening up a bit. Feels very weird using motor power. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put a timer on how long I'm paddling for, so I'm going to do a total time at the end of these tests. I better slow it down there. And here we go again. Relatively quiet, unlike those children. But yeah, poodling along nicely. Still just in the D setting. I'm going to call it drive. I don't know what they call it, but it's a nice comfortable speed. If I try and paddle, I can just about add a little bit of power, not a lot. Right, from a standing start, I'm going to put it into D, give it about 15 seconds, and then I'm going to put it into sport, see how much faster we can get it. Wind's picking up a bit and it's coming directly into the face, so I'm just going to take a wind reading. I'm veering off quite a bit here, so I've just got to correct, even though I'm taking a wind reading. Right, 6 miles per hour. So we've got a 6 mile an hour head-on wind. Turn it, seems to be veering, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to straighten up and see if it can stay in a straight line. Not doing too bad considering the wind's slightly off centre, so the wind is actually coming from, well, head on, but slightly to my left, so in theory it should be blowing me to the right hand side as you look at it, as you look forward. Right, going to go into S. myself for going under the bridge. And that's motoring. We should be leaving the noise of the main town and the building site behind us in a moment, but that was actually exciting. I really enjoyed that. I mean, a nice wide stretch to play around on. I had quite a few people going along on the towpath looking at me like I was completely mental. I wasn't even paddling, the kayak was just motoring along. Obviously we'll test it out a bit more in a few minutes. I just want to have a little paddle. I've now came onto the Tonbridge circuit, which is a particular favourite little paddle of mine. What I tend to do, I tend to come to this, put in at Tonbridge Slip and do this circuit when I'm testing stuff. So whenever I buy a new kayak or a particular piece of equipment, it's only about, I think even if I do the straight section to Li flood barrier, sorry, it's only about 2 miles in the circuit. It's particularly pretty. There may be a few fishermen out today, so I may have to watch out if I'm sort of playing with this motor, but if they are, they're normally generally all on the left bank as I go down towards the barrier, so I sort of know roughly where they are, so I can keep an eye out. But yeah, really enjoyed that. Got some speed up in sport, so we'll do a few more tests in a minute. I just want to have a little paddle now and just chill out for 5 minutes. Right, there's a bend coming up, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the motor into drive and see if I can, with the paddle, manage to steer around. As you can see, there's some warning buoys in the water there where there's a slight weir. So let's get it going and see how we go on. Get on. And we're off. So as you can see, there's quite a sharp bend coming up. Just tipping the paddle a bit. A little bit more. And we'll just give it a little bit of the left-hand side. Took my eye off the ball there, so as you can see, it's trying to take me into the left-hand bank. So what I'm doing, I've got my paddle just dropped down by the side of the craft in the water. That's it, that's better. It's going to take some getting used to be honest. It's you know, it's all trial and error at the moment. Not too noisy either. I mean, obviously it's there, but yeah, it's not too bad. But that's obviously on speed 1 on drive. Turn myself around a bit. On the left there's a canoe club. I don't know if you see that in the actual in the video. You come under this bridge and there's quite a few live and board boats around there. Beautiful morning, not too hot. I'm out of the wind again now, so probably just a slight breeze. Check it out, it's hardly necessary. It's probably about 1 mile an hour. Let's have a look. I've got an anemometer with me, so alright, let's turn ourselves. That's it. As you can see, it's slightly veering to the left. I'll just straighten myself up. Oh, this feels very strange, very unusual. So what I'm actually doing, I'm just tipping my paddle. What I did to start with, I started putting the paddle in sort of at a flat angle, and it was just driving the kayak down into the water. So you've literally got to sort of feather it to the side, and then it sort of gently turns. It probably doesn't slow it down so much either, which is, you know, because the problem is every time you're doing that, you're actually slowing it down. You're putting resistance against the motor. And what I will try doing is sort of adapting it slightly, especially in this speed, in speed D, by just doing odd strokes to correct it as well. Probably get away with it. Won't get away with that in sport. I've already tried it. Sport is too fast to paddle. Ah. Let's check how we're doing. It doesn't take long to veer off course. Get it straight. Over straightened there because I'm trying to check the wind speed. Wind speed at the moment is 2.5, 3 mile an hour, 3 miles per hour, head on. So we're going into it. Boys Brigade Activity Centre on my left. That's nice for them, isn't it? To actually have a riverside club. So now we're passing the live on board. I'll say the word, live on boards. That's it. Just give them a wide berth in case anybody's fishing off of them. The houses are back onto the river. How nice is that? See, now it's tracking very straight, so I'm just wondering whether it's the wind. I'm now out of the wind because of the tree cover and the house cover to the left, trees to the right. That's it. What I'm doing now, I've got the fin switched off. I'm just trying to see how difficult it is to paddle without it. Once I get out of this tree foliage, just got myself stuck in. There is a bit of drag, to be expected really. I did mention that in, well, probably video 1 and 2. So it's not as fast as it would be with the normal skeg on, but I've got 5 kilograms extra in the back, what with the battery and the fin, and obviously the fin surface area, the mass is considerably bigger than just the regular plastic fin, so you've got to expect that. But I don't pedal for speed anyway, so it's just a matter of just getting your rhythm and going with it. Right, here we go, switching on again. Oh. Quite a tight bend here, so I'm having to feather quite a bit. I'll get used to that. Let's see if I can correct paddle strokes. Not really, it adds to the speed. I doubt it's not turning it. You do need to feather. That's better. Well, I'm now approaching the bridge where I'm going to turn right. So what I'll do, I'll get down to the bridge, I'll power off, turn, then I'm on the straight, and I'll go back into S, into sport mode. It is recommended that you go into D first, drive, before you go into sport. I went straight into sport that time. I suppose it's just so that it gradually speeds up, but it does go straight into sport if necessary. Having to feather quite a bit. Test is how it performs in reverse, so here we go. Reverse R. Now that does feel weird. Well, there's a new sign on that bridge behind me there, saying no unmotorised or motorised crafts allowed. End of the navigation. Weir ahead. I know there's a weir ahead. It's the flood barrier, but that's new, unless there's been a couple of incidents and people have been injured or such. But anyway, I'm just going a tiny bit further down, then I'm going to turn myself round and head back down, probably on motor power. Well, there's the flood barrier in all its glory. I remember the first time I paddled up to this, I expected it to be a lot smaller. I was completely shocked at the actual size of it. It must be a gusher when they open up the side gates. You'll probably just see ahead there, there's a couple of gentlemen in a canoe, just having a chat with them on the way down. Apparently they come down on this section every Thursday for a little paddle. Talking about the new sign saying no craft allowed. And then the two of us are up here. I'll just get up a little bit closer and then we'll turn round. Let's put my motor on. That's it. Motoring along quite nicely there. Let's cut the motor and see how well we glide. The barrier's awesome. There you go. Danger, strong current, no craft beyond this point. Quite understandable. Alright, let's turn round. Yeah, a few people coming up here. 2 more are coming up now. See, we're all taking a lot of notice of that sign. I'll just get past these guys and then I'll stick my motor on again. Morning. See, we're all taking a lot of notice of the sign down there, aren't we? Yeah. No boats. No boats. Right, here we go. Switching to drive. I've just noticed, I said I call D drive, and it is drive. I've not bothered to read the remote. Yeah, R reverse, D drive, S sport. Big red button stop. I think that one's self-explanatory. Right, turn myself round. That's it, nice and straight. Let's have a bit of an amble back. Top speed. Straighten myself up again. Well, this is at maximum speed. We're going back downstream. Not that there's much of a current here. This is non-tidal at this section. Yeah, this definitely, it does feel quite strange doing this, but I suppose I'll get used to it. And I won't be taking the motor out every time. Just on some of my longer pedals. Straighten myself up. Oh, well, this is the life, isn't it? Yeah, it feels very, very strange. Obviously, it's going to take some getting used to. And I don't think I'll be using it every trip out. I mean, obviously I'm predominantly looking at paddling, not, you know, I'm coming out to paddle. But this will definitely get me out of trouble if I was that tired or my knees or lower back were hurting that much. It just allows me to just sort of sit back and just do a bit of steering. What speed am I on now? Oh, I was on top speed there. I'll just turn back down to drive. I thought it was quite difficult to steer. I'm just going to leave it on drive. Literally all the way back. I just can't get over this. It's just so strange. that's it. I will be trying this motor out on my other craft as well, and what I'll be doing, I'll be updating these videos on the E-fin as I get more and more used to it. What I will tell you, it was a bugger to lift the kayak into the water once, because what I did, I put the fin on and I attached the battery. Lifting it up, getting into the water was a nightmare. So there's a little bit more work there. I mean, it took probably adds 5 minutes onto your setup time, and then getting it in the water. The problem is I wanted to do it that way because I didn't want to spend too much time on my knees, because as you're probably aware, I've got very bad knees at the moment. So if my knees were okay, I would have put the kayak in and then just started setting it all up on the water. But yeah, it was a bit of a drama getting it in the water, getting it to the water, lifting it over the edge and then sliding in. But first time out, it's all a learning curve, and we find our ways around things. So what have we learnt, well, what have I learnt, but I'm sharing it with you about this E-fin so far. Although the battery is, say only, but it's 3.5 kilograms in weight, it's quite compact, it does feel very weighty when you're getting in the kayak. As I just said, when I loaded it all in, connected it all up, you know, tethered it down, and then I tried lifting the kayak. I knew it was going to be heavier. Obviously it was going to be at least 5 kilograms heavier, but wow, I mean, because it's all to the back of the kayak, I really did struggle getting it down to the water's edge. Now I'm not fit and able at the moment, so had I put the kayak in the water and then knelt down and leant over, maybe, you know, obviously that would have been a lot easier, connecting it up while the kayak's in the water. Not always possible, mind, but it's another option. Not for me at the moment. Yeah, I mean, it started off as fun, quite exciting really, sort of switching on electric power. Obviously we got the results in the video of speed with sort of 5 mile an hour, 6 mile an hour headwinds. It's a mill pond now, but yet to be tested in proper winds or chop. But that's what it's for, actually. It's there to assist me when I'm struggling, rather than just when I'm out for an amble. Because what I have found on the way back, I've been running it all the way back for round about 3/4 of a mile, and I'm sort of sitting here thinking I'm not doing nothing. It's not me, you know. I come out to go on the paddle, so it's sort of taking out that enjoyment side. It's not what I bought it for though. I did buy it as my get out of jail card, because like I said, you know, with really bad knees, I mean, I don't know, this could be forever, this knee issue, probably is, and a problem with my lower back from time to time. On my longer paddles, I do sometimes really struggle. The last couple of miles, last 2 or 3 miles, I can be in absolute agony, and I can't go anywhere. I'm sitting in a kayak, so you know, at least I could switch the motor on, and then just concentrate on doing a bit of steering. So yeah, you know, first time out, there's lots of tests to do, and they're future videos. Other things I've found out about the fin, or I've learned already. In drive mode, it's a good speed. I would have liked one lower speed, just a mile an hour less, it would be much more controllable, but it's not there, so it's not even worth talking about. Not with this fin. There is fins with 12 speeds. I wonder sometimes if you've got 12 speeds whether it's just going to get a hell of a lot more confusing. What speed am I in? And you're going to spend more time looking at a screen or playing around with a remote control on your hand than you are actually getting on with the paddle. So maybe it is right that we've only got a couple of speeds. So in drive mode, it is steerable. I've learned a lot about the steering already on this short paddle, because if I'm too aggressive and put the paddle in, the boat yaws really sharply, literally dives down towards the water, and the motor struggles against. I'm going against the motor, so I've already learned to sort of feather from side to side. In sport mode, obviously it goes considerably faster. However, you've got to be a lot more aggressive with your steering and on the ball. So I'm not sure I'll be using that a lot. I think sport mode will be used if you were going into quite substantial winds or a lot of chop, because actually the speed will be reduced, but the engine will be putting more power in. But actually on the river like this, which is like a mill pond at the moment, right, 5 mile an hour, 6 mile an hour headwinds on the way out, which is nothing. It was fast and I was having to be quite aggressive to actually keep the kayak in line. So you're actually doing quite a bit of work. But I think that again is an additional get out of jail card that will be used in rougher weather, going into the wind or a lot of chop on the water. So yeah, there's a couple of things I've learned already. So what about noise wise? Well, I'm sure you can hear it in the background now. That's on drive, so there is a slight whir. It's nothing too distracting. It's not too bad. In sport, it's considerably noisier, but again, it's still not too bad. You're going to get some noise. It's a motor in water, so yeah, that's going to happen. But yeah, not too bad at all. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to the actual where the slipway is and carry on downstream for a while and just give it a bit of a run out, because what I want to do, I'm not going to do my final appraisal of this trip out until I get home, maybe even possibly tomorrow when I'm cleaning the kayak up, because I want to have a think about the pros and cons. If I start listing them now, I'm going to forget things. So I literally want to sit down, look over this footage, write the pros and cons as I see them now or so far, and then maybe from my garden tomorrow I'll finish that sort of side up. So basically for now, that's it. We've been out, we've had a run, you've seen the speeds, I've explained a little bit more about it. We're getting there. So it's only the first time out on the water. Sure there'll be plenty more adventures out with it. While I'm on here, got some good news. I've purchased a new kayak. I'm not going to say no more than that at the moment, but I've purchased another kayak, which actually will be arriving tomorrow. It could be a busy day, what with a bit more filming, cleaning this up, and another kayak arriving. Now it's Friday tomorrow, and I'm working Saturday and Sunday, so I just want to get it out of the box, get it inflated tomorrow, pack it away, and then I just got to leave it till I've got my next few rest days next week before I can sort of do a not an unboxing, but you know, my first impressions out of the box video on that. So yeah, if you want to know more about that, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, and then you'll get updates on what's coming up. Once again, and as usual, to my subscribers, a big thumbs up. Thank you so much for supporting me and my channel. I've had some absolutely wonderful comments recently on my content, and be it with going out on the paddle or reviews, that yeah, really appreciate it. Really has helped me, considering that I've got some quite serious medical issues at the moment. So thank you. Blow you all a kiss. Sun is out, so that's it from me. So bye for now, and I'll see you on the next video. Well, I've not long got back from my little jaunt out on the River Medway this morning, testing out my E-fin. I'm currently just uploading some footage from my 360 camera, so I thought what I'd do, I would sit down for 5 minutes and jot down a few of the pros and cons and just sort of update you slightly. No biggie, nothing major. The pros basically still stand. I mean, I bought this E-fin for a purpose. At present, I've got very bad problems with my knees, which is looking like it's osteoarthritis, actually in both knees. I also have an ongoing lower back problem, which on long paddles, or when they become long because I get overexcited and do sort of 8 miles out and then have to paddle back to my car, sometimes in the last couple of miles it becomes a real chore, and it sort of, for the best part, can ruin the whole outing for me. So for the moment, I've just got one pro to add. Obviously that will switch and change over time. One of the pros was not just the fin, the battery, the whole thing is very discreet. I mean, the way I fitted it up, it was more or less hidden anyway. But when I wasn't using it, when I wasn't running it, I went past quite a few paddle boarders, some other kayakers, a couple of people in canoes. They didn't have a clue. They didn't have a clue it was there. When it was switched on, however, people were calling from the bank, "Oh, have you got an electric motor on there?" And you know, there was interest in it, so it was quite evident it was there, which leads me into the cons. So one of the pros is it is discreet. Right. So what I'll do, I'll start off with the first con, which was a major con, was, and I did touch upon this when I was out on the water, the weight of the battery box and the rest of the gizmo when it's located at the stern. I did have real difficulty lifting it up and transferring it onto the water. Obviously it was top heavy because I had literally now had best part of 5 kilograms total on the back, whereas a kayak's not that heavy itself. It was really top heavy, and in all fairness, it's partly again to do with the pressure on my knees at the moment. So it doesn't necessarily mean if you're fit and able that you won't be able to sort of cart it down and launch it. So I will be looking into altering the position of the battery to take the weight away from the stern. So in saying that, the next trip out, what I will probably do is what I normally do is put a 20-litre dry bag underneath the spray deck at the back. It normally has my electronics in it. If it's cold or whatever, there'll be some additional clothing, clean clothing in there, or dry clothing. So I will be putting that back in position and then trying to locate the battery box slightly further forward and disguising it, maybe putting it in a open dry bag so that it's not actually in your face type of thing from the water. Again, that's something I've got to play around with. Now here's something I don't think I've touched on in either of the 2 previous videos. Excuse me, I'm in my garden and there is a road. It's not a busy road, but just every so often something trundles down it, so please forgive me for that. Something I've probably not touched on in my 2 previous videos is that there is no battery indicator level. So I knew that anyway, but the point is that I've been out and I've been to-ing and fro-ing, backwards and forwards, in high speed or its highest speed, trolling along in its only other speed, and I've got no idea how much power I've got left in the battery, so it's a bit of a bind. I mean, the only way you'd know that is if you run it till it run out. So I've got absolutely no indication of how much power I've used or how much power I've got left. So really I need to charge it before I go out next time to make sure it's at maximum charge. I did know that. I mean, some come with indicators on it, which it would be really, really handy if you did have, even if it's just like 5 bars, just some rough guide of where you're at with the power. And especially when you're out on a longer jaunt, you may be on high speed and realise you're using too much power, and you might want to just drop down a speed just so that you know you can get back. Another thing that's started to happen, or has been happening, is the fin connector locking nut, where you actually connect the fin cable and it screws up. The back nut, the fitting going into the box, the nut is turning, or the actual thing is trying to turn. That worries me, because that could actually cause problems with the integrity of the box, as in for being waterproof. So I may try and nip it up, but I can't go into the box where the battery is. I could, but it will invalidate the guarantee. So yeah, I'm not too keen. You know, you feel like you need to do it up at least hand tight, you know, hand firm, and actually getting it undone is quite difficult. And this is quite warm weather. You imagine in cold weather where your fingers are freezing, it could be a bit of an issue. Right, E-fin noise level. Now remember, 2 settings. On the first setting, drive, it's not too noisy. You can hear it. You'll probably hear it on the footage anyway. But you're just ambling along. It's not intrusive is more the word. I was going along because the river's quite narrow when I went up to the flood barrier, and people were looking off the towpath. They could hear me coming. So it is audible. It takes away, when it wasn't on, you could hear the wind through the trees, you could hear the birds. Once that's on, that sort of disappears into the distance. But remember, as I've said before many times, I'm only using this as a get out of jail. If I go too far, or I particularly want to film one stretch, but really didn't fancy coming back, you know, just because of the sheer distance, I can then just motor back without worrying about it. I get all the footage I want, all the enjoyment I want on the A to B and B to A. I'll just switch the motor on and fly back. So I can't really knock it for that. It's going to make a noise. It is a motor, it is in water, and it's pushing something along. So on the level 2, which is sport, it's very, very audible. So, you know, literally, again, you'd probably be using that when it's really choppy, or that you've got quite a heavy gusts of wind straight on or whatever. You'd probably be using it then. So then it wouldn't be so audible anyway, because you'd have all the noise around you from the bad weather. This is not going to be the E-fin's problem, but I will mention it. It yaws to the left. It tries to veer to the left, not drastically, and that is probably either the design of the kayak. Maybe I'm sitting slightly to the left, so it's wanting to go to the left. It could be that the actual skeg box is actually slightly off center, which is not very noticeable when you've got a normal skeg in it, but when you put a motor in it, it is. It's not an issue. I've really started to master that. I just have to tip the water on the right hand side every so often with my paddle or feather it, and I can basically keep it in a straight line. I'm definitely getting there with that. That leads me on to steering when in sport mode is difficult. Sport mode is quite fast, and you've got to be quite aggressive. It's hard to feather. So if it's yawing slightly to the left, it's going to go faster to the left because the craft's going faster, and you're having to dig the paddle in, and you're making quite sharp movements. But then again, we're back to what I said earlier. Sport mode for me is when it's really windy, gusts or choppy, and I'm just trying to get from A to B as fast as possible, or get that maximum assistance. You may even find, or I may even find, that in that sort of weather conditions, I may be able to paddle when it's in sport mode as well, because it won't be going that fast into the wind or into the chop. So yeah, in conclusion, it was actually a nice trip out. I may have sounded a bit pessimistic at times. It's because I was sort of trying to get my head round it. There was quite a few anglers. I was trying to avoid lines. There was a few people from the towpath chatting to me at times. I mean, when I got off camera, I went off for about 45 minutes, which was completely different. I was just no cameras, all packed away, and I was going up and down the river, mucking around with the steering side, you know, trying to get used to the paddle, getting my feet in a different position, more comfortable because I don't have to paddle now. And my spirits raised a bit. Part of my pessimistic mood was that it was the loading in. It really, my knees are, I'm in permanent pain, but I'm used to that pain. But when I was loading in with the battery in, I really caused myself some issues. So I was in quite a bit of pain when I was kayaking today. That really doesn't help. And then I'm not going out for my usual look at the birdies, look at the trees. I was actually, you know, trying to do a review video, which is a completely different type of video. So I'm actually pleased with it. And I've on reflection now, driving back and having a think, I've learnt a lot. So the next time out, I'm not sure when that will be. Back to work at the weekend, and I've got a new kayak turning up tomorrow, and I've got to clean the other kayak up. I'm not doing it this afternoon. I'm going to get on, I'm going to rest for a while, get a shower, and then get this video produced. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next trip out. As I said, battery's got to be repositioned. It's got to go into another position. Probably put it loose until I find out where it needs to be. I'm comfortable with my ability already in steering it. That's only going to get better. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. There's a few things I need to think about. That's the idea, ongoing reviews. Even if the weather's the same, it'll be a slightly different take on the first trip out. It's going to be. So, I hope you enjoyed the entire video and you found it of use. Either way, you know, against or for. I'm an open book, and I bought this for a purpose, so I'm really going to try this thing out until I do work out whether I've basically just wasted my money or not. I don't think I have. I think it is something I do need if I've got ongoing issues with my back and knees. It's, as I called it once before, it's going to become my water mobility scooter. Oh, how sad is that? Anyway, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you soon.